In this conversation, you're going to watch me coach Rebecca. And we had such a beautiful and deep conversation. This is really, and I've known Rebecca for quite a long time. Rebecca is an amazing woman. She's so powerful in what she does. She's a coach too. She's very passionate about fitness. She helps people with so many things. I feel like she's doing things in the business realm. She's doing things in the personal development realm. She's doing things in the confidence, health, all of that. She's combining all of this. She's really the total package. And in this conversation, it goes very deep. We're very vulnerable, both of us, and I'm inviting you to pay attention to that, to pay attention to how the conversation is going and to what is exactly happening. What is it that makes Rebecca open up the way that she does? And how am I holding space for that? And how am I dealing with it as a coach? Not because I'm doing it in the best way possible, but because the way I'm doing it apparently works. And maybe you can utilize that. It's a beautiful conversation. It's some beautiful insights, but more powerfully than that, it's not just an insight. Rebecca doesn't just walk away with a new thing to do or a new way to go about her life. She walks away with a feeling. And that is what I love about this conversation mostly. It's that we talked about something that really draws out some feeling in her that is going to give her power to get back into her life the way that she's always been longing to do so. Enjoy the conversation. Did you come here with anything that you were like, that's kind of on my mind? I kind of want to have mixed perspective on that, or at least throw it into the conversation.
Nothing specifically, but I will say you have this presence about you that I just always feel very calm in your energy.
That's
and it's
good.
just so refreshing. And I think I've told you that before, because I think just being American, we're always so busy and rushed and harried, to go and racing a million miles per hour. And I love that you have that ability to there's just a sense of calmness. So I really like that. So thank you.
Nice. Well, I'm just reflecting that back from you to
Well, thank you. Yeah, I hit the ground running this morning. That wasn't my plan, but I was just up super early and just starting very early, which I normally don't. Normally I go to the gym and get that away. But today I was just had some business things, feeling very inspired, had a call with my business coach. So I got some help there, and just sometimes, and actually I can have a great segue into this. So today I'm doing an Instagram live and it's with my friend from California. And we are going to talk about letting go of what you know.
Okay.
And then emptying your cup and starting over. And so I saw this video with this guy saying that, and I thought, how true is that? Like, how often do we get stuck with our ideals of what we think we should be doing and the old beliefs that we are still running in our lives?
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like we're afraid to empty our cup because a lot of people think, what does that mean? I don't want to start over.
Right.
Or I don't want to change my belief system, because I think of it more of a philosophical approach as far as like emptying your cup, right? Empty the stuff that's not working for you, and then fill your cup back up with positive thoughts, positive belief systems. And I think it's a great way to discuss our conversation, because it's okay to start over. And it's okay to do things, especially when you're in the business sector or anything in life. It's okay to start from scratch. And it's really, that saying, you're not starting over, you're starting now with wisdom, right? And I think it's just bringing that awareness to those thoughts and being okay that if you figured it out once, now you get to do it again, but you can do it better.
Right. That is
powerful. Yeah. And I think just this morning, just kind of what's happened for me today, it was just kind of needing that refresh with my business coach, just having him walk me through some things. And I was like, yes, because I caught myself like this last week. I feel like I've been in this free state, so to speak, like just kind of like super busy, lots of calls.
Yeah.
That's what I said when I've been busy, but I don't know if it's been productive, and just kind of feeling like, what am I doing? What do I want to
Mm.
do? Am I finding joy in this? Is it bringing me to my results? And then really just getting clear with what I'm really trying to achieve. And I still feel like that's a mystery. Like
Interesting.
I'm more of in the flow type of person of just, I mean, obviously I have intention and deliberation within my daily life, but I think it's, I'm lacking a little clarity of like where I want to take my business or what I even want my life to be, so to speak. Like last night, I went on a drive to explore this new part of town because I moved in February. And so I
Oh,
live, yeah, the completely different side of the valley. And
yeah.
I've lived 20 years on the east side next to the mountains. So now I'm west and it's completely new for me. And so I was like, I'm just going to drive as far west as I can until I hit the other mountain.
Okay.
But I was just looking out. It was getting dark. Sun was setting or had already set. And I was just looking at all the twinkling lights of the city and just questioning, like, where do I want to be?
Mm.
Where, as I don't want to be here, and I can't tell you why. I just don't want to be here. And that feeling
Yeah.
scares me because I don't know if that'll ever go away.
Mm.
Like, will I move somewhere else and I'll still have that feeling of, I don't want to say it's emptiness because I feel very fulfilled in a lot of areas of my life, my children especially,
Yeah.
my health. But it's just recognizing like where you're at, what do you want, and knowing that I have all the power to create whatever I want, right? I can create anything, but it's up to me to create that experience. But I'm being that I was in that freeze state, I'm like, nothing feels satisfying.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I so recognize that in myself as well. Like
You
the
do.
that sentence of like, I don't know if I still want to be here. That's one of those that I've said those. And I always, like, I found it so difficult to talk to other people about that because they might think that you want to commit suicide, but that's not it. It's like, I remember when I went for walks as well. It's usually at night when those things come out, right? So I went to a walk, and I went to this empty, like, it was sort of a field thing. I live in the Netherlands. We have a lot of those. So sometimes I'm walking there, and I don't know, and just looking up at the stars, being like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I here? Like, I'm super fulfilled in all these things, but it's something is missing, and I don't know what. And I feel like that's what you're describing. That state of, indeed, it's not per se emptiness. It can feel a bit. For me, I might label it as, loneliness doesn't cut it either, but there's a certain edge of that to it, and I recognize that. And then, like, what if this is it, right? Like, just, I don't want to go, but like, if I can be taken away, I don't think I would mind that a lot, because like, what are we still doing here? Um,
So good. Do you think that that's because when we're more spiritual beings or we recognize that spiritual energy within ourselves that we have more questions? Because I can recognize the physical sense of me being here and what I need to do. But I think spiritually, I'm like, I just feel, it's almost like I feel so small, or I feel, well, this feels so small. Salt
mm,
Lake City feels not small in the sense of population, right? Or geographically, but I'm just saying, like, to me, there's a whole wide world out there for exploration that I want to experience,
yeah.
and I want to gain knowledge, and I want to have perspective, and I want to see more. But excuse me, yeah, I feel I'm a little anchored here just because of my situation with being a mom.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if it's a spiritual thing too.
I guess it might be. I think it's I don't know if spiritual's the right term, but I feel like when you go about life with that higher consciousness of things, and when you're so conscious of the way that you do things and why you do all of them, and you start to ponder upon all of that, like, people who don't do that, they just go about their life, and they go about their life. And sometimes like they say that ignorance is bliss, right? And sometimes we're here knowing what we have in here and how powerful that is and how much we want to serve, that once that's not working or things are not going the way that we want them to go, realizing, hey, but wait, I'm the creator of all of this. Why is this not going the way it's supposed to be going? Then
Right.
that puts a lot of pressure on yourself. When other people just go about their life and they go to do their jobs and then they go see their kids after and then they go to bed, and that really makes them happy and that's their life. But yeah, I definitely do think it's asking yourself those bigger questions that yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Yeah, and it is. I think I've always been baffled of looking at other people, and I'm like, how they seem happy, or maybe they're hiding it, but it's like they feel completely, maybe not completely, that's probably a general statement, but they seem to be satisfied with what they're doing. And I guess really the feeling that I have is it's not emptiness, it's not loneliness, it's satisfaction. I'm not completely
mm,
satisfied with my life.
yeah,
And that's like just real and honest, that I find joys in the little things. Like I said, being a mom, you serving others, coaching people. I love that. Like it brings me great joy, but it's still that feeling of like not being completely satisfied. And does that mean I'm not living in the present moment? Am I not appreciating what's in front of me and what I have? Because we know we can always come back to the present moment and be grateful and practice our gratitude, which there's
right.
so many things to be grateful for. But I
Mhm.
think it's, I never, and this has been my whole entire life. I felt this way. I probably since I was a teenager. Like there's just more. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's more that maybe it's more I want to do. I don't know.
yeah.
That's been
What does that mean to you, satisfaction? Being satisfied, what does that mean?
that's the question, right? That's the answer I don't have. What
Uh,
does that mean? What does that look like for Rebecca? Right?
yeah.
Like I don't know those answers. And I feel like if I knew, and I'm going to answer my own question here. But it's like if I knew, then I would execute. But I think it's like, well, Rebecca, maybe that's the beauty of life. You don't know. You just keep
Mm,
pushing forward, right? You keep wanting that. And that's what you keep chasing to feel that satisfaction. I just don't know what that is. I really, there's only so many hours that I can read and do my work and work out and then be a mom. It's like, to me, I'm a type of person that I can rest very well. It's no problem to relax and shut my mind off. I don't have a problem with that. But then it's still that feeling of what more? What more do I need to
mhm.
feel completely good?
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
I don't even think there's an answer to that question.
I don't think there is either. And I don't know if, am I looking in the wrong direction? I think that's kind of where I question that, like, why can't I be satisfied with where I'm at?
Right. Well, that is a good question. But and the problem with that question is that we don't even know what satisfied means.
Right? So that's a great question. What does satisfied mean? Maybe that's what I need to explore.
Well, what comes to you?
I think,
You don't have to describe it in words. Maybe you see images of some sort, or
yeah, images would be like, I, it's interesting because I have a lot of this, like time. I have a lot of time,
mm,
right?
hmm,
I've been able to master my time, that I make time work for me.
yeah,
So I do have time to do the things I want to do, but I always sum it up to I feel bored.
mm,
Bored. Even though there's a million things I could be doing, it's just a sense of boredom that I feel.
yeah,
And so what is that missing piece? Is it a missing piece, or is it, and I think this is true for a lot of people, that they have this fear of not living up to their potential. So then
right,
you create that gap that you always want more and you want to strive to be the best that you can be, but then that creates this gap. And it's like the chasm from here to there. How do I get there without I want to close the gap, right? I think is the goal. Close the gap so I'm completely satisfied right here, because if we know the law of vibration, the law of energy, we know what energy we're putting out there is what we're going to get back. And the more that we focus on that, feeling completely satisfied right here, right now, the more that we start to create those feelings inside of us.
Yeah.
So it's like even having that knowing, but yet there's still this underlying feeling of lackluster. I don't know, like just excitement, maybe, I
Right. I mean,
guess.
it's like that. You have got that big potential there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not being used, and that can indeed create sort of this words can't describe this this process. It's so difficult. I'm noticing that for myself too. But it's like you said, just that feeling of boredom, because it's like um, how I recognize it for myself is that sometimes when I had those days where I was looking up at the stars, being like, "Why?" It's like because I know I'm capable of doing great things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just that none of the goals that I can set for myself are exciting enough or feel like they resonate enough with me. But I do know that there's something there, and I just can't seem to pinpoint what it is about. And um, do you feel like that resonates with you a little bit?
Absolutely. I
Mm,
think it's the same thing. It's like, and when you said that, I was thinking like, well, you are doing great things, right? You are doing wonderful, impactful things right
mm,
now, but to you, it probably doesn't feel like enough. So then we have to come into my psychological mind, and I have to say, well, do you have these high standards, these unrealistic standards for yourself that wherever they came from, that you think that you should be doing more, making more of an impact, or reaching more people? I don't know if that's the case for you, but I would always say it comes down to what are your standards for yourself?
yeah,
And like, how do we operate within our standards of living, right? Like I have standards for myself, how I operate my day, how I present myself, how I speak, how I, talk to others. Like I
right.
have standards, right? But it is still that feeling of, it's even like sometimes I'll come into a session with a client and I'm just like, oh, like my energy's not there. And being that I'm
Mm,
such an energy person, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this. But then I get going and then it's really impactful and it's a great session.
yeah,
But it's still like, is this what Rebecca wants to be doing? Could I better use my skills, my gifts in a different area? I think is the question. And what does that look like? Right? Is it
yeah,
speaking to thousands of people on a stage? Is it getting your book published? It's all those things that I hope for one day, but I'm not there. Right?
interesting. Yeah. What came to me when you were saying that of like, but you are doing great things, which is what came to me is this image of, and you can relate to this because you go to the gym. Let's say I have weights and I'm lifting, I don't know, I'm doing a bench press and I've got 50 kilos on there and I'm benching it away like it's nothing. I might be like, I don't like the gym anymore. It's way too easy. It's like what's the point of me going? And then someone standing next to me is like, "Oh, you've got 50 kilos on there. That's so much. Like you're doing amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, but well." And then there's the other person there who's like, "Put an extra 10 kilo on because you got it." And suddenly I put those extra 10 on, and it's like, I kind of struggle with that, but I like this struggle. Like this is keeping me going. I'll put another 5 on it, and it's like where you suddenly got that extra spark. It's like, yeah, I know it's a lot, but I know I can do that. So for that person who says that, they're like, yeah, well, you are doing great things. I'm like, I know, but this is great for some people. However, I'm the kind of person that does need a little bit more than that because I'm either used to it or because I just feel the need for that. Um,
So good. Yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, I wanted to know what's going on in your mind.
So it made me think of something, and
Yeah,
I was thinking, so it's become too easy in a sense that maybe we're too comfortable in our ways, right? And so now, being that we are creative geniuses and we have this creative genius inside of us, maybe this is the cue that we're receiving is it's time for the next level.
right.
So because we've become comfortable in this, so it's like which can apply to everyone and anything. It's like we need that push to get out of our comfort zones, so we have that. One, it builds your self-confidence within yourself that you can do
Yeah,
hard things. And two, I think that's the joys of life, right?
right.
So we have to up level. So as we're talking, I'm thinking like, well, maybe Rebecca's not finding the joy 100% in coaching because it's easy, been there, done that. Not that I
Exactly.
don't like helping people,
Of
but
course.
now it's like, what's next, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, what are those extra 10 kilos that you can put on? What's next?
Well, but then I ask the question, do I want to? Is that
Mm.
what I want to do? Right? And I still struggle with that of like, is that the next step in regards to business, right?
What do you mean with, is that the next step?
Do I do I add do I do more within the business so I'm reaching more people or reaching the right people? Like what does that look like, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
even for our personal life, like what does that look like? If Rebecca's been in her comfort zone in Utah for 20 years and she needs something different, what is that, right? Does that just mean that she needs to travel or does she need to move, right? And so
Yeah,
I
because
think,
I'm not just talking business. Maybe
yeah,
you really feel like learning how to juggle, and maybe that's gonna be your thing. It's the simple things, and maybe it's not just adding 10 more kilos. Maybe it's a different exercise.
yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's something different. And, I had a little bit of regret last night. I don't have any regrets typically in life, but I felt on my drive that I was like, I don't know. Before I moved, I was going to go travel. I was going to
Mm,
take a month and go travel to Thailand. Like I
okay.
had a whole itinerary planned out for me, everything down to the T. And I questioned it because I thought I can't just pack up my stuff and leave. I mean, I could, but I didn't. I chose not to. I chose to get a place and move because I thought I don't want to come back and then not have a home. But then last night I was like, "Ah, I wish I would have done that.
Mm,
I wish because I know that I would have figured it out. I would have found a place. And so now I'm like, oh, now I have all this furniture in this car and what am I going to do with that now? So it's that wanderlust of,
yeah,
and I think it's listening to that calling, but sometimes we get so stuck in the confines of what we think we should be doing
it's the
that,
safer option. Yeah.
yeah, it is a safer option. And although I trust myself completely and I trust the universe that I will figure it out, So it's like as scary and unconventional as it may seem to other people looking at my life, like, how could you just up and leave and not come back to a house? To me, I was like, I'll figure it out,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
like that. I like that big dream, and I completely see how. I mean, you're a mom too, so it's. I don't blame you for not going to Thailand for a month. It's really something, but it is. That does tell me, like, from what I'm hearing, that dream to go to Thailand. That is something that your heart starts beating faster of. That is like exciting. Like there's um as if you're being turned on again, and that's why I love traveling too. It's like you. It's so expansive, and I feel like it's the moments where I'm standing at night looking at the sky. Those are the moments where I feel like I'm not expanding enough, and
Mhm,
and where I'm sort of stagnant or need that next level of something. And you had one of those options, which was to go to Thailand and just leave everything and just go there for a month. And
mhm.
I'm curious, from the place where we are right now, is there something else in there, that some desire that might be as big as Thailand, or maybe it's as big as getting a dog, or something that just sparks that you're like, I kind of want to do that or expand in that way.
I don't know. I really just wanna move out of Utah.
Okay.
That's really the feeling that I get, that's what feels exciting to me.
Yeah.
but I feel stuck because I don't want to leave my kids. I won't leave them.
Mm.
So it's like logistically, how do you figure that out? How do I put myself in a position to go and explore, right? Expand myself, but yet I still have responsibilities, right? But right now, the only thing that comes to me is experiences. I want experiences.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go out in Utah. I don't meet anybody in Utah. I'm just very much a homebody, which I'm recognizing probably isn't good for my mental health, that I need to push myself to get out and be around people. But I don't have that desire. Like, I don't
Mm.
want to talk to anyone in Utah. And that's probably really negative and wrong of me. You know, I don't believe in right or wrong, but I should probably have a little bit more of an open mind. You know, that there could be something
As the
exciting.
woman who wanted to go to Thailand for a month.
I just feel like it's been there, done that. There's nothing new and exciting about Salt Lake,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, okay, Rebecca, you know this. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? That's kind of my probably underlying discomfort that I have. Not
Yeah.
wanting to be here, but feeling like I have to be here. But
Yeah.
also still being grateful
Of
for
course.
all the blessings that I have. You know, Utah's a beautiful state. It's a great place to raise kids. But it still doesn't take away that feeling.
Yeah.
It's still there.
I can I offer something?
Absolutely.
Because what I love about the way that you look at the world, and I think that's so powerful. It's like when we talked about what it is that you want, there was that month in Thailand, which is pretty like full 180-degree turn, and then right now it's like just moving, which is also like a full-on decision. Have you thought about sort of breaking it up in little pieces? Where like, all right, I'm noticing myself that I kind of want to make a radical decision like that, which I know would, in a way, it would work out. But how about I just book a weekend trip to, I don't know where in America, but just to check it out and to get those experiences and be like, oh, I can just do that. Is that
Mhm.
something you've thought of or considered?
Yeah, I've definitely considered that. And I thought I don't need to necessarily move. I just need to probably travel more. But
Right.
then it comes down to finances. And it's like, I feel like I have a responsibility. I have to take care of my bills, my
Mm,
house, payment, my car, groceries, you know, all the normal stuff. It's like putting that money towards myself to do something is probably the last thing on the list with that because it's expensive. And, but then also, too, I'll add to this, like, you travel and then you're alone. And then it's like, well, will I have that same feeling? Because I feel like life is meant to be shared with people. Like, we're meant to be around other humans. And then it's like, will I feel lonely?
mm.
Right? Like, I
Well,
went
two
to
two things
Newport.
came up there where
Mhm.
either you got to fix that list.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just what came up. Um, and um, maybe it's part of learning to be with yourself as well.
Yeah.
And you
Like,
don't have to have for that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm completely fine, like, being alone. I spend a lot of lots
Yeah.
of my time alone. But, like, I have traveled before, just domestically and internationally. And internationally, it was fine. I felt completely fulfilled just because I was near the ocean and stuff. But I went to California 2 months ago, and I was at a convention. It was great. But I still remember one day walking by the beach, and I was like, oh, this would be better with someone. Like, I missed my kids. It's such
Yeah.
a weird dynamic because I miss my kids, but at the same time, I know I need a break. I can't really describe it. So that's why I have these thoughts that, well, if you traveled somewhere, Rebecca, and you took a weekend, you would probably still feel that way. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay to feel that way. I still get to come back to my family, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't want to be alone. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the bigger thing of like, yeah, not being like, I need to be okay being completely alone, I think.
I think that's a big part of it. And I feel like that is one of the biggest lessons that we're always going to learn when we travel. Um, it's the balance between being comfortable with who you are and where you are right now, as well as finding that place to come from and add on to this world in whatever way we want to do that. Because what I do hear from your conversations is that those one-on-one coaching sessions,
Mhm.
even though they're highly impactful, even though they're amazing, and afterwards you feel so great when you've done that, they're not challenging enough anymore. And it's
Yeah.
like, indeed, what are you going to do about that? And that might be um, all right, from an hour, we're going to cut them short to 20-minute sessions, or we're not going to be one-on-one, but we're going to be 10-on-1. Whatever way you'd like to be creative with that, I think in terms of that, and I think I only think this because I know you know this, you got to up your game when it comes to the coaching. Either
Okay.
find your way, or like make it in a way where that Rebecca is like, all right, I don't know if I can do this, but let's do it because I know I can actually.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know what up my game means though, but I think you're absolutely right and onto something. It is because my energy is not matching. I'm not feeling super excited to go into these sessions. And
Right.
I think it is because it's become easy.
How do you navigate challenging situations?
How do I?
How do you navigate challenging conversation
Well,
situations?
like within clients or just for myself?
No, like when things get like tough a bit, or when you feel like you're taking on a big challenge, is that something that motivates you, or do you feel like I don't want to do this at all?
Probably don't want to do it,
Okay.
probably. The I work well with a deadline. If someone says, Rebecca, I need this by this date,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do it. I got it.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm good with time frames. But if you leave it up to me, like there's no pressure for me to write my book. I can do it whenever. And so guess
Mm,
what? That's the last thing that I do is sit down and write.
interesting.
Yeah. Like I need it's almost like I need a little more structure, I think, with that. Like I need to be prodded, like pushed.
Right.
If someone said, okay, we're going away this weekend, then it's something I plan and I execute and I make happen. Right. But
I feel like
nobody's
this one ties into the the bond with yourself, the relationship with yourself, the being able to be just with yourself, where it's that inner desire to write a book. You've mentioned it a few times,
Mhm.
yet you're just not listening to yourself, and you would need structure in order to do that. It's like if you truly wanted that or would truly listen to yourself, I feel like you are the person who would have created that structure already. Does that
Okay.
resonate with you? Do you agree with that, or would you say no?
Yes, because I'm a type of person, if I want something, I will make it happen.
Hmm.
But I think that's the question. Rebecca doesn't know what she wants,
Yeah, I like that.
right?
That's such a luxury problem.
I know, right? Like
I love it.
it sounds horrible.
It doesn't. It's a high achiever. It's what we do, right?
You think?
I know. You're talking to a 22-year-old guy who's done things that people are like, "You've done so much. Like, when is it? Like, how did you do all that?" And I'm like, "Well, I just did this." So yeah, I feel like we resonate because we both have that same mindset where it's um we just always want more to do,
Yeah.
not because it's not because we're not fulfilled or anything like that, but just because we know our potential, and
Yeah.
it would be a shame not to use it.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd love to read your book, and I'd love to see what kind of group coaching you can do and what kind of events you can host.
Yeah. I have a group membership that I do that we have like 10 or 11 members, and I just do
Amazing.
that every other Friday. And I love it. Like it's so
Mm.
powerful. I love the synergy of everybody talking and connecting. And it's very, and we just talk about real stuff. And I feel like it's just so supportive. And so I've thought about that too, that I'm like, maybe I just put more energy towards the group rather than trying to focus on finding that next ideal client, which the ideal client's good because, that's my bread and butter for my business. But then I'm running into the wall of people not being able to afford the coaching that I offer because, it's an investment in yourself. And my son gave me this quote last week, my older son, and he said, because he has his own little business washing windows and he's 16. So I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
But he said, good work is never cheap and cheap work is never good. And I'm sure he heard that somewhere, but I thought that's so true. Like, good work is never cheap. Cheap work is never good.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like knowing your own value. I know what I offer in the coaching space. I know it's good. Right. I
Yeah.
know it's life-changing. I'm passionate about it. But for me, I need more. I need more challenge. Like, I like people that have real stuff, real conversation that will open up and just totally be themselves and not hold back and will take guidance from me. Like, I do get a thrill from that. I don't like just chit-chatting in my coaching sessions. Obviously that's necessary. It happens, but to me, I'm like, well, let's gain some traction. Let's make some change. And let me tell you why I think it's this way. Right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's a challenge. I like that. But I think it's just recognizing where I want to put that energy and just listening to it, right? Listening to what I want to share. The book has been incredibly hard to write because I feel like there's so much information that I want to talk about. How do I structure it? Am I putting enough information? Am I putting too much? Right? Like, it's just, I probably just need to have an outline and just chunk it down instead of thinking of all the things I want to include.
From hearing you talk for the last 2 minutes, I
Mm-hmm.
feel, and it's not because of what you're saying or the way that you're saying it, but I feel very excited for you to do those things. And I think it's because what I love what you're explaining to me are those challenges, and they might seem very demotivating in a way because you're in this situation yourself. It's like you have those ideal clients, but they're not willing to pay for it. So it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you go about that? And the longer you're in that, the more of a that might get. However, to the outside, to me, that sounds super exciting, and I know that, I guess there's a no, I know that there is a part of you that gets excited by that too, else you would have stopped by now, and it wouldn't have happened anymore if you truly weren't excited by that. And I feel like you've got that group thing going, and you know, because you told me that you'd like to put your focus on that a little bit more. And then you talk about the book, which is like, oh, well, I've got this and this and this and this challenge and all of those. And then you start telling me about how you would go about that. The only thing is that you haven't done that yet. And I feel like, indeed, if it's about like sitting with yourself and being okay with yourself, part of that is listening to those desires that are in here, and then using this one to get them done, because you know perfectly well how to do it. It's more of a getting yourself back into that state. And I feel like, because it's that next level, because it might be that new weight that you put on there, a part of you is how you are at the beginning of a coaching session. It's like, and then you know that when you're 5 minutes in, you're good. And I feel like you might be procrastinating this all a little bit because you know those first 5 minutes are going to suck.
Yeah, that's so good. So true. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And it is just getting past that first hurdle. And I think we can even apply that to people that are coming to work with us and asking for help. The biggest step is recognizing they have a problem. I don't want to say problem, but they have something that they would like to change within themselves. And then it's taking that first step of asking for help and then actually following through. And so I can apply that to myself. It's like, Rebecca, that's the uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me to just sit down and write, because it's just getting to that point. Sit down, block your time, shut off your phone, you're going to write. Once I start going, yeah, I get in the flow and I write.
Yeah.
But that is the challenge. And I think that's what I need to be doing. I have to almost force myself, I think, is what I need to do. And so I've gotten lazy and complacent and just whimsical with life and letting life carry me away and not focusing on what I really want to achieve.
Right. I think forcing yourself, I have a weird vibe with the word forcing yourself, but I feel like personally, I have that same thing with writing. Sometimes I absolutely don't feel like it. And I know that if I put myself to it, I'll be in the flow within 2 minutes. And it's like part of me in those moments where I do feel like, all right, I'll block some time right now, is it's just that inspiration, and you can recognize it. Like sometimes you're just in the mood to write, or like sometimes it just pops up and you're like, all right, let's do it now. Now I have the time. And I think that comes also down to like listening to yourself, because you don't have to grab your calendar right now and then pen in that the second Tuesday of the next month you're gonna block, like you can still utilize that flow of life, and maybe at night when you're, I don't know, winding down, just grab your laptop and put some things down when you feel inspired. And then I feel like you'll slowly get there, because you don't need to finish it next week, and you don't even need to finish it in 5 years, but the sooner you start.
So good. Yeah. It's the same way when I post content. Like, people always ask me, well, do you plan your content?
Exactly.
And I'm like, I post when I feel inspired.
Yeah.
When I feel like I have something to say, I'll just type something up and then get a picture and boom, I post.
Yeah.
And so maybe I need to approach that with my book as well, right? Or my speech. What speech am I going to deliver when I'm on stage? I don't even know what that is yet.
Right.
All
And then go
these
through those posts that you've all written. Those are already beautiful content that you can just utilize it. Because I don't know when you started posting, but I believe that's maybe even over a year ago. You might find some gold in there.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel like I have nuggets of wisdom to share with people. And every time someone comes to me, they're like, I was reading one of your posts, or your post resonated with me. And I'm like, okay, it's working. Like, it's because it's coming from a place that's real, it's
Yeah.
authentic, and it's just genuinely me, right?
Yeah.
Like, there isn't typically an agenda with it. I'm just posting from the heart. And I think if we apply those same principles to my business goals, then I can create some magic,
I like that.
Just satisfying that inner desire, I think, within ourselves, that we have to really listen to and not get distracted,
Mm.
And recognizing what does distract us, what takes us away from that. Because life will happen and we'll all go through personal things, which are personal effects are professional,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this week has been. And it was good this morning to hit the ground running. Like, I've just got in the mode, and I was like, okay, I feel inspired. I feel ready to go. And I always feel like first thing in the morning is really good to kind of just set that intention for the day,
Yeah.
But you got to listen to it, because it's so easy to do the easy thing. Got to push yourself to the hard thing, right?
Yeah. I'd add to that it's too easy for us to do the easy thing. And the longer we do that, we're like, what are we doing? Our potential is going to something that doesn't matter to us the most. And I feel like
Yeah.
that might be our biggest, like, it's the dark side from that, right? It's being very good at what you do. The dark side of that is that you can get motivated or like dismotivated from things that would motivate other people like a lot. You're
Yeah.
doing things effortlessly that other people would have to work for so hard, that we
Yeah.
need to step up from our effortlessness into something that is even unimaginable to other people.
So good. Absolutely. And I think it's it's a great conversation just to bring that awareness to that thought and to recognize, like, we've put it into words now. So I'm like, okay, because a lot of things do come effortlessly to me, probably to you, right? It's easy. And I think, how blessed are we to have that?
Right.
Like, what a blessing. Like, we are so blessed that that's easy for us. The gym life is easy because it's so ingrained in our DNA of, like, just what we do, right?
Yeah.
But if I've taken anything away from this conversation, well, lots of good nuggets, but I feel like the biggest thing is to challenge myself. Even though it may be a challenge for my clients or other people, it's like I still have to make sure that Rebecca's challenging Rebecca
Right.
and getting past that hurdle, that first hurdle, and doing those things that I know that I should be doing, and then just sitting down to do them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've just such a free-flowing spirit, though, that I truly just create from the inspiration that I have. Like, when I post content, it just really comes from a thought. And I like that because it doesn't put that pressure on me. Like, I don't want to have that pressure, like, oh, you have to post 5 days a week and you have to put
Right.
this out there. Like, that doesn't feel authentic or genuine to me.
Yeah.
It feels forced, and I don't like that.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
force myself a little to at least do the things that I'm avoiding.
Right. It's about thinking just a little bit bigger. It's like
Yeah.
recognizing that you have those thoughts of things that you kind of want to do but scare you, and then remembering how effortlessly you've been doing all the other things that scared you, and then taking yourself to that place. And recognizing that is I mean, I had my thought for the podcast, for doing this, like having these types of conversations, came when I was in the shower and I was thinking I wasn't feeling that amazing, and I just need to take an extra shower because that sort of helps in a way.
Yeah.
And I took that shower, and I think I was under the shower for like 20 minutes pondering, and then this popped up, and I was like, I'd be so afraid to do that. Like, I don't know if I could do that. And I got out of the shower and I immediately wrote it down, and I procrastinated on it for like a week before I even like sent the first person the message like, hey, can I coach you and tape it, please? And many people thought it was an amazing idea, and other people were like, no. And I'm very grateful that we got to have this conversation. And it is because it went so effortlessly that for me, it felt like such a big step. And that really excited me. It was amazing to do that.
And here you are, and look at
And
us
here
now.
we are.
I
Yeah.
love it. I'm so glad to be here, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I always feel like you have some knowledge and wisdom to impart, and I love your spirit. I think that you're just an amazing person, and
Thank you.
I'm happy to support you in any way I can.
Of course, likewise.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
I did too. I hope you got something from it as well.
Of course, always.
Good.